This video is going to be about moving force in your body with Qigong. We're going to be looking very literally at how we move force, we move physical pressure, physical load through our body as we do Qigong exercises, and how this is beneficial for us, how it stimulates our body in an efficient way to help it heal and become healthy and strong, and also how stimulating the physical force helps to stimulate all of the other aspects of the energy as well. All of the different types of energy are stimulated together when we physically stimulate our body in a smooth way in our Qigong practice. So, to begin with, we're going to look at some of the basic laws of physics. So, as a little exercise, you can watch the video first and then come back and try this, or you can try this with me. Stand nice and upright, put your feet shoulder width apart, sink your knees. This is going to help you to move freely and loosely in a relaxed way. So don't stand stiff and straight, sink your knees down, keep your body nice and relaxed, and make your body so relaxed, so loose, that it sways easily. And just practice swaying gently side to side. We want to have our body so relaxed that if we come to rest, even though we're still, we're so loose and relaxed that if there was a strong breeze, it would push us. We would blow in the breeze and sway. So we're still but very relaxed. Now, one of the basic laws of physics is that for every force, there is an equal and opposite force. This is very, very important because if the forces weren't balanced, the whole universe would be torn apart. So this is a standard rule, and you've probably heard of it before. For every force, there's an equal and opposite force. So if I'm standing completely relaxed, loose, easily swayed, easily moved, and I extend a force out from my body, another force is going to come back in. So for example, if I lift my arm to the side, it's going to push a force out in that direction. If I'm very, very loose and I lift my arm to the side, it will push my body in the other direction. It's not a big force, but if I'm very relaxed, it's enough to move me. Same thing if I lift my arm to the other side, it will push my body away from it. So we can try this. Lift one arm, makes us sway the opposite direction. Lift the other arm, makes us sway in the other direction. Make sure all of your body's relaxed, your legs and your hips. Something that I see people often doing is they try to experiment with this. So they keep the legs locked and they just let their body bend. You'll still get the idea doing it that way, but you're going to get it more clearly if you let your whole body, including your legs, sway. Okay, so equal and opposite forces. If we're very relaxed, the force will push us in the opposite direction. What happens though, because we're only swaying because we're choosing to be so relaxed to allow ourselves to sway, what happens if we keep ourselves still and then extend a force out to the side? We don't suddenly start to violate the laws of physics. If we send a force that way, there's still another one coming back this way. It doesn't disappear, but it does take a different form. So see if you can feel that as you try this. We'll try alternating. So we'll start, if you lift your arm, let your body sway, and then lift your arm and hold your body still. Lift your arm, let your body sway, and then hold your body still. Once more, let your body sway, and then hold your body still. Can you feel what happens to the force? It's still there, it just takes a different form. So, in this case, instead of it taking the form of movement, it takes the form of tension in our body. You can think of this much like if you're building a balcony out of a building. So you're sticking something out from the building. To support that balcony, you have to put a whole lot of extra bracing down into the building to support the bit that's sticking out. It's the same with our body. If my arm is sticking out to the side, it's not a huge weight, but it's enough that there needs to be some bracing down through my body to support it. So instead of the force coming back in, showing up as movement, it now shows up as tension or bracing through my body. Where exactly that tension goes will depend on exactly how I'm standing, but usually it will come into the muscles of my back, down through my spine, then down and through my legs into the earth. So let's try that again and see if you can identify it. So first swaying, let your body sway, and then can you feel the tension down through your body? Interesting. So we can choose, when there are forces moving through our body, we can choose how they manifest, what form they take. We can choose whether we let them be movement or whether we let them be tension. And when we have this choice, we can start to use the force in useful ways. As we understand a few more details, we can start to direct the force to where we want it to go as well. So we'll look at an example where we use tension. There are other examples in Qigong where we use movement. In this one, we're going to use tension. So in this example, I'm going to lift my arms out to the sides. We use this in a very common, very important movement, which is used for stimulating the microcosmic orbit, the circulation of energy in a loop around the body like this. And the movement looks like this. We raise our arms to the sides, and then we lower down in front. Raise our arms to the sides, and then we lower down in front. So what happens as we do this movement? We're going to break it down and go slowly. So if I open my arms to the sides, well, I'm sending a force in each direction. I can't kind of wriggle out of the way of it because they're both coming in from opposite directions. So it's going to be tension, not movement. And there's another interesting principle that we see again and again through Qigong practices. And that is that as this force from an extended limb comes back into our body, the focal point of that force is usually at the height of our hand. So if my arm is out like this, the focal point of the force will be at this height in my body. If it is down here, the focal point of the force will be at this height inside my body. There are a few exceptions to that. There are things that change as we change the angle of our hands and so on. But for now, this will suffice to help us to understand this. So let's see if we can feel this force, this tension in our body move, and as we direct it through our movement to go where we want it to go. So we'll start, hands relaxed, body still relaxed. Turn your hands all the way out, so the palms face as far out as you can. Then relax them back in. Turn the hands out, so they face out as far out as you can, and then turn them, let them relax back in. Again, turn your hands out, turn them to face all the way out from you. And you might notice as you do this, as you turn out, there's a gentle stimulation in the glutes and in the pelvic floor. There's a little squeezing together. As we turn our hands out, there's a squeezing together as the tension builds at the height of our hands. So we turn our hands out, we feel that slight squeeze at the bottom of our pelvis. Now as we lift our hands up just slowly, see if you can feel that slight squeeze, that slight tension start to rise. It comes up into your lower back. We'll lower it back down. Let it rise up again, up into the lower back, base of the ribs, between the shoulders, and back down. It comes all the way up, lower back, under the ribs, between the shoulders, base of the neck. We can feel this pressure rising up through the middle of our back, around our spine. It then continues up the spine, up over the neck, and then down, the pressure shifts to in front of the body, down the front of the body. So we come up the spine, and then down the front of the body. So we're creating a loop of pressure, specifically centrally around our spine and around the center of the front of our body. I'm not going to go into why we do that in this video. We explore that in some detail in the Between Heaven and Earth course, where we look at the microcosmic orbit, and we also look at the other extraordinary meridians. But this helps you to understand, hopefully you've got the idea, of how we start to direct pressure in our body. I want to look at the same principle applied to another very simple Qigong practice that you're going to see again and again in different exercises and groups of exercises. So this practice, this exercise, is called by different names. Sometimes it's called playing with waves, sometimes it's called rise and fall, and probably many other names as well. It's very simple. We relax our knees. Again, our feet are shoulder width apart. We breathe in. We rise with our arms. We breathe out. We sink our arms. We also sink our legs. So we breathe in. We rise. Breathe out. Sink and lower. Now this might be a bit more subtle than what you felt with this movement, because with this movement, with the force coming in from each side, it became concentrated in the middle of our body. Moving the arms like this, the force is distributed right through the width of the whole body, but what we're aiming for is to create a wave of pressure. It starts at the feet. As we breathe in, that wave of pressure rises up through our body, up to our shoulders and arms, and then as we breathe out, it sinks and washes back away all the way down to our feet. We breathe in, it rises up. Breathe out, sinks, washes back away. And so we get this steady up and down pressure through our body. Out of interest, so for the most part, the pressure follows the height of our hands. As our hand comes up, this focal point of the pressure rises. But then our hands only come to here, and yet the pressure still goes all the way down to our feet. And this relates to the angles of our hands. As our fingers point all the way down, you feel the pressure release all the way down into the legs. So the fingers rise, the pressure comes up through the legs, up into the body, it meets the hands, coming up to the shoulders, and then it sinks and washes back away. Hopefully as you practice this, you can feel there's this subtle, gentle rising and falling of pressure through our body. Gentle, much like a wave. This is very beneficial to us. When we move in a tense or jerky way, or not mindful of what is happening inside our body, what happens is the force, the pressure of the movement tends to skip over parts. Some of our parts of our body will be tight, other parts will be loose, and it will kind of jump its way through. Some parts will get a lot of force, other parts will kind of be missed out as it works its way through quickly. When we slow this down and make it very slow, every part of the body as it moves through is subjected to the force, the squeezing of the pressure that moves through. This then very gently stimulates every cell of the body. Every cell of the body gets a little massage as it goes through. This stimulates the activity of all of the cells. It stimulates the movement of fluid, of blood, the removal of waste fluids through the lymphatic system. It even stimulates the bones, and all of these get a steady pressure, stimulating them through steadily, every part being gently massaged by the movement rather than having a jerky stimulation go through them. This is very important for our health. Part of being healthy, part of being alive is moving. It doesn't always mean big movements. A lot of it is about the internal movement, the subtle movement inside us. These gentle changes of pressure stimulate that internal movement to maintain our health. Now, as we massage our body in that way, with this physical pressure, it stimulates all of the other kinds of energy within us. A simple analogy for this: if I rub my arm and start to massage it, I'm using a very plain physical stimulation, physical pressure. But as I do this, it starts to generate heat. So the movement generates heat, both from friction, but also it starts to stimulate the cells. They become more active and start to generate heat too. This then stimulates the body to start to draw the blood through. So we start to stimulate so we've got physical energy, we've got heat energy, we've got chemical energy as the nutrients start to be drawn into the area as well. In addition to this, the nerves in this area also become active, and so we get more electrical activity as well. So even simple physical pressure stimulates all of the other components of our living energy: heat, electricity, chemical energy, awareness. Our awareness gets drawn there as well. It all comes together to stimulate what we call Qi. Okay, hopefully this has been interesting to you. Hopefully this is helpful for you in your understanding of Qigong and also your practice of Qigong, to understand how simple movements create subtle changes in pressure and force through your body, which then stimulate and help the other aspects of the energy to move as well. We've looked at this with just, well, two simple movements really, but these same principles apply in whatever the kind of movement we're doing in Qigong is. Some of these it will be easier to intellectualize and figure out what's happening. Others it might be harder to piece all of those details together, but the same principle is at play, and it's moving pressure, moving force, moving energy through you in a very literal way. And by doing this, we create health and we develop skill.